Hi, I'm Mike Pesca. I'm here to help you pick your brackets. There are two basic principles for picking your brackets. One, you got to know who's going to win these basketball games. And two, it's really important to play with a bunch of people from Delaware who are convinced that this is Delaware's year. Actually, that's not necessarily true. I believe in the value investment strategy. Watch. First of all, we're going to not just rely on the stuff I know, which ain't much. We're going to take some of the best information out there on the web, and I'll show you what websites we're going to use and why. This is the prediction machine. I don't know if it's a real machine. I don't know if it's like George Michael's sports machine, but like the website KenPom, they tell you the percentage chance that every team makes every round of the tournament. This is extremely important. This is the ESPN National Bracket. This gives you a sense of the wisdom of the crowd, and what we're going to do is play off the wisdom of the crowd and try to find value. By the way, I'm maybe not getting this whole .com thing. I think this is not really how hyperlinks work, but every time I put it on here, I am saying Control-V in my head. These are the odds, the Las Vegas odds. Do you think you know more than Las Vegas? You are wrong. Las Vegas is an entire city, and they're filled with a bunch of sharps. And this is KenPom. I love KenPom. He's the smartest guy in basketball, Ken Pomeroy.
And we also have the Enchiridion, written by Epictetus, the Greek Stoic philosopher from the 2nd century. I use it a lot for NCAA picks, decorating tips, all sorts of things.
I would consult that as much as possible. Let's go to this region here where Florida, which is the #1 overall seed in the tournament, they're going to win their first round game. I don't know exactly who they're going to play. It's either going to be Albany or Mount St. Mary's. Do know this about Albany. Their mascot's the Great Dane, and their logo looks exactly like Scooby-Doo.
That's the one.
That will not help them win this game, but I do have a piece of advice. If any team named the Bulldogs wants to differentiate themselves, they should be the Funky Phantoms. Hanna-Barbera logos are available for your college team. This round, we have Pittsburgh versus Colorado. This is an easy one. Maybe some of the fools in your pool will pick Colorado, but Spencer Dinwiddie, their only really great player, has been out. They've been terrible since he's been out. Now we have a 5 and a 12, and everyone likes Stephen F. Austin, but VCU is really a great team, really a great team. UCLA and Tulsa, UCLA looks strong. So far, I'm not really doing anything crazy, but here, I think I'm going to pick my first upset. I want to pick Dayton over Ohio State. Here I am. Oh my God, I'm writing Ohio State. Why am I writing Ohio State? I can't. I gotta write Dayton. Here I am, I'm writing Dayton. Oh, it's like Fonzie trying to say love. I can't really pick Dayton. Dayton's pretty good, and Ohio State's vulnerable. They're not good at offense, but I do think Ohio State's gonna win. Here's a team that's been playing terribly as of late, but you know what? They're playing in Buffalo, Syracuse, Buffalo, not that far apart. You know what else there is to do in Syracuse these next few days instead of going to Buffalo? Yes, that's right, exactly. That's why everyone in Syracuse will be in Buffalo. New Mexico and Stanford. I like New Mexico and Kansas. All right, let's come away to this bracket over here. Follow me, follow me. Basically, we want to put all the #1 seeds. No #1 seed has ever lost a game. Now we have Gonzaga and Oklahoma State, and this flummoxes me because, again, I like Gonzaga. I think they're a little bit underrated, and my philosophy is to gonzig when everyone else gonzags. You have to get good value, but Oklahoma State, since Marcus Smart came back from the suspension, really, really good. They took Kansas to overtime. All right, now we have Oklahoma against North Dakota State. North Dakota State is one of these underdogs that people like. I mean, Oklahoma really isn't that good. Those guys hate playing defense, and North Dakota State has like the highest shooting percentage in the country. But who did they shoot against? I don't know, South Dakota State? So I really think Oklahoma is going to win, and I don't think there's great value in picking North Dakota State. I don't think San Diego State's that strong. I do think they'll pick their first round game. Now we get to Baylor, Nebraska. Here's my problem with Nebraska. Although I think, unlike a lot of other Alexander Payne films, he did not show a disdain for his characters, I just felt after a while the black and white had this distancing effect. I wasn't sucked in. Will Forte did a good job, though. Surprised me. I'm picking Baylor. Creighton, their top scorer, Doug McDermott. They call him Dougie McBuckets. Not me. I call him Douglas Von Longshottenstein. Because I think that Dougie McBuckets thing, especially on St. Patrick's Day, little anti-Irish. Just subtly. I'm going to call you out on this. Oregon, they're a pretty good team. BYU, they lost their second best scorer. Oregon's going to win that game. Wisconsin's really good team. Let's keep going here. Wichita, they're a #1 seed. They win. All right, now we get to Kentucky and Kansas State. Kentucky has all this talent. Kentucky was like this preseason top pick. Kentucky, if they put it all together, they could win. Well, they did have a sample size where you could judge if they put it all together. It's called the whole season. They didn't, but they will beat Kansas State. I do worry. In fact, come with me. Let me see the odds on this, all right? Here's something I like to do. Let's see what Las Vegas says. Now, when Las Vegas makes the odds, it's based on a couple of things. And one of the things it's based on is perception. But another thing that it's based on is they know that if they have the wrong odds on a game, they're going to get crushed. So it's a combination of where they think the public is going to bet and who they think is going to win. Well, they have Kentucky as a 4-point favorite. Right around 4 is where, unless I have a strong feeling, I don't like to go against Las Vegas. So I am picking Kentucky in this game. All right. Here we have St. Louis against the round 2 winner. That's going to be NC State or Xavier. If you're in a pool where you could get either of those teams, I maybe would stay away. Although, you know, I think NC State is by far the weaker team, though if they beat Xavier, maybe you could say they're not that weak. Anyway, I do think Xavier is going to win. And St. Louis is a team that's been good all year, but a little bit reeling. Still, I think St. Louis is your shot here. Louisville, everyone in the world likes Louisville. UMass against the round 1 winner. Here's where I'm going to go Tennessee, or if somehow Iowa wins and you have to get locked into Iowa winning, fine. But Tennessee is going to win that play-in game, and Tennessee is going to beat UMass. How did UMass get a 6th seed? I don't know. Also, Ken Palm loves Tennessee. There we go. Duke Mercer. Mercer's not bad. They won't beat Duke, although they might. Texas versus Arizona State. Arizona State's a lot better defensively. And Michigan versus, I think it says Wolford here. Aren't they Wofford? I think they're Wofford. All right, we got one more bracket to go. Let's go. Here we have Virginia against Coastal Carolina. Again, we always put in the number 1 seed. Memphis, George Washington. Let's look at the odds of this game. I think a lot of people are going to pick Memphis just out of inertia or the fact that they've been good in the past. But this Memphis team, this current Memphis team, has a lot of flaws. Let me see the spread on them. Yeah, they have Memphis as a 2.5-point favorite. Okay, I'll go with Memphis, sure. Now here we get to Cincinnati and Harvard. Luckily, well, before we even get there, you know, this is a 5-12 game. And one thing that you're always going to hear is that in every tournament, a 5 loses to a 12. And that's true. About 30-something% of the time in the last dozen years, a 12, at least a 12, has beaten a 5. So every one of these guys who does a show like I do or makes prognostications will tell you, okay, the first thing you have to do is you've got to pick your 12 to beat your 5. I'm going to show you why that logically is not necessarily true. And then I'm going to contradict myself. But I'm going to show you mathematically why that might not be true. Let's say that there are 2 people. One is Polly plugged in. And Polly knows that a 12 always beats a 5. And over here, we have Iggy Ignorant. And Iggy Ignorant doesn't know that. And let's say they pick the tournament 1,000 times. So watch what happens. 250 out of those 1,000 times, Polly's going to nail it. She's going to pick the 12 that beats the 5. But of the other 750, she's going to pick the exact wrong 12. So not only will she get that game wrong, she's also going to miss the real 12 that beats the 5. So she's going to pick 375 of those games, right? Meaning that she will have picked 625 out of 1,000 games. Now, Iggy Ignorant, who doesn't know that a 5 beats a 12, will miss on the 12 that beats a 5, but he'll get all the rest right. He's going to get 750 correct. So if it were true that you have to pick a 12 to beat a 5, and if it were true that every year one 12 beats a 5, and that's not true, last year a bunch of 12s beat a 5, but just that fact alone is one of those facts that you probably would be better off ignoring it. A 12 doesn't have to beat a 5, and don't feel compelled to pick a 12 to beat a 5 if you don't want to. Now come with me, and we're going to figure out why this year Harvard's going to beat Cincinnati. Oh, this is one of those things where on the wacky news clips, the guys, you know, fall down backwards. We're going to talk to a dude named Ben Black. He went to one of those schools. I won't tell you which one, but he's an absolute genius when it comes to statistics. What's up, Ben? Look, he's got his earphones in. Okay, we're here. You went to what school?
I went to Harvard.
Heard of it. So you're totally biased. Tell me why Harvard's going to beat Cincinnati.
Well, they've had their best season ever, and last year they had one of their best seasons ever. They won. I would say, unfortunately, the odds may still be against them. But, you know, if they ever have a chance of winning a game, I think this is another year they have a pretty good chance.
So they won last year. They're better this year. What about Cincinnati? Everyone just looks at them as like the foil. Are they a good team? What are their strengths?
They're not a great team for the conference they play necessarily, but they are for a bigger conference. Harvard's competition is not nearly as strong as Cincinnati's usually is. I think it will probably be a close game regardless. I think Harvard may be a slight underdog, but I think for a 12-5, pretty good chance it could go in Harvard's way.
So what chance would you say that Harvard has to win in terms of percentage?
Unfortunately, I usually like to weigh the stats, but I would say, anywhere from 40 to 50%, which is pretty good for a close.
High 40s. Good. Can they win 2 games?
I would not. I would love to see them win 2 games. I don't know if that will happen. It is tough you're coming a school from a small conference. Winning 1 game is usually considered a huge success, and that's really all that would need for this season to be amazing. But hopefully they can win 2, maybe even 3.
That's awesome. All right, cool. So that was Ben Blatt. He, he went to this small, up out of their bootstrap school. It's like the little engine that could. It's called Harvard. Maybe you've heard of them. They've given us 6 presidents. Also, Ben is doing this thing on Slate, which is really cool, which is you could sort your brackets according to all these rubrics. Like, if you want to pick your bracket according to all the dog teams beating all the cat teams, you could do that. If you want to pick your bracket according to which coach has the highest salary, you could do that. So it's really cool. You should go there. Oh, we're here. All right, so we just heard from Ben Blatt, our Slate in-house stats guru, who went to Harvard. He was not an archaeology major, smart guy. And he said that Harvard has a high 40% chance of winning. But look at the ESPN national bracket. As of now, only 28% of people are picking Harvard. So this is what I consider to be a great value investment. Down here we have Michigan State. Everyone loves Michigan State. I do too. Now here's another good value investment. I think Providence, if you look at how poorly North Carolina has played, Providence won the Big East tournament. Right now, Las Vegas has them as a 5-point underdog. So that's not that bad. But only 20% of the people are picking Providence. In some of those 8-9 games, the spread was a 4-point underdog. I think Providence gives you good value. Also, I'm not going to be picking North Carolina. I'm going to be picking whoever I pick in this game, which is going to be Iowa State in 2 rounds. So this is fine. You could do a little bit of a upset for 1 round if it's not going to kill your bracket all throughout. Let's have UConn over St. Joe's. Those St. Joe's is good. And Villanova. All right, let's go to the second round. Let's go. UF. Definitely VCU. I love VCU. You'll see how much I love VCU. Syracuse, because they're playing close to home. Kansas down here. Let's stay up here. I don't want to pick all number 1 seeds. I think UF is a good school. I think, by the way, VCU might have a tougher time with Stephen F. Austin that doesn't turn over the ball. But this is going to be my big upset. I'm going for VCU over Florida. And down here, I'm going for Kansas. And I'm actually picking Kansas to make the Final Four. And this is why I think so. I think they're a number 1 type seed. They don't have Joel Embiid. They're a great freshman who's going to be Hakeem Olajuwon one day. And because of that, people are staying away from them. But you know what? Fortune favors the bold, so go for it. Pick Kansas. They looked very good in their tournament. Andrew Wiggins is the kind of kid who could put up point after point. I'm picking Virginia here mainly because I'm not so sure Memphis is going to win. Harvard, Michigan State, that's why Ben was saying, can Harvard win 2 games? Not against Michigan State, they can't. And now over here, you have Virginia, which is something like a 5-6 record against top 50 teams. You have Michigan State. They're being a little bit overrated. Before the tournament, I think after they got their player Adrian Payne back, they were only around the 500 team. But they put it together, and everyone loves Tom Izzo. And I just don't think Virginia knows where it's going to get its offense from. So I'm picking Michigan State. Providence against Iowa State. Let's go with the Cyclones. Iowa State has, just this great offense, terrible defense, putting Villanova there. That'll be a crazy game. This is a bunch of small guys who know how to score. This is a team who can't defend. I don't know. And like everyone in the world, if you go to the national bracket, Michigan State, even though they're a 4 seed, is favored by 31% to come out of here. But I guess 31% is not that good. And the reason I'm picking Michigan State, even though it's kind of a cliched pick, is that who else is going to challenge them? It is an extremely weak bracket. All right, let's come up here. Arizona against Oklahoma State. Since Gonzaga, I think Oklahoma State could beat Arizona, but they could also lose to Gonzaga. I'm not very comfortable. This is a team, these 2 teams, I kind of hate this half of the bracket because I'm not that sure of anyone. Arizona is the number 1 seed. They seem to be the class of the bracket. Let's go with Creighton beating Baylor. Let's go with Wisconsin. Wisconsin, according to Ken Palm, is one of the only teams that are tops in offensive efficiency and tops in defensive efficiency. They ran into a tough Michigan State team in their tournament. Wisconsin comes here, and at the risk of this is a tough one for me.
Arizona has great leaping ability. Arizona is just so great at defense, but also good at offense. I will say this year has extremely weak #1 seeds, and so far this is the only #1 seed. I'm not that confident, but if there has to be one team, I think it's Arizona, and I don't think you get the great value out of some of these other teams. Come here for a second. Let me tell you what the national bracket and ESPN is saying. They're saying that Arizona gets there. 43% of the country is saying Arizona is going to get there. But of the final 4 teams, and I have 2 of the 4 that the national bracket has, but fewer than 50% of the players have my 2 final 4 teams, so that's fine. All right, here we go. Wichita State against, in this round, I think it'll be Louisville. And here is, everyone loves Louisville. And what happened was when Louisville got a 4 seed, I said to myself, great, this is going to be value. People will just go buy the seeds. But there was this backlash to Louisville's 4 seed. Rightly so. Louisville's a great team. I kind of think if Louisville got a 1 or a 2 seed, what people would be saying now is, you know, their conference wasn't that strong, and you know, just because they won last year, but because they got a 4 seed, the narrative is we talk Louisville up. If Louisville was a 1 seed, I think we talk them down. If I had to pick who would win in this game, I would pick Louisville. But if you look at the national bracket, if you look at what everyone else is going to say, the value investment is Wichita. Hey, Wichita's a good team, Wichita State. Wichita gets after you on defense. And I don't mean after their opponents. They get after you. They do negative ads. They have direct mailing. They do play in the Koch brothers arena. All right, Tennessee against Duke. But will it be Tennessee? Because of that, I guess we'll take Duke. Jabari Parker's great. Duke, Michigan. Oh, geez, I kind of think that one of these 2 teams isn't going to make it that far. I know that Duke is susceptible on defense, but I do think, you know, Krzyzewski's a great coach, all those reasons, yet I am putting in Wichita State Shockers. Value investment is the reason why. Wichita against Arizona, Michigan State against Kansas. Going with Kansas, going with Arizona, and my national champion, Arizona over Kansas. Take that not to the bank, not to a savings and loan. Take that to like your broker for bundled mortgages and a really bad tranche.